that is most critical of him should be taken off the air. This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back,
throwing a white flag.
Why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching.
The white flag has been thrown. The liberal media, MSNBC, Morning Joe, America, has thrown in the white flag and admitting submission to Donald J. Trump. This is a growing trend that I've been expressing that was going to be coming. I said mainstream media was going to be submitting. You see, a few years ago, it was possible to push the narrative that Donald Trump was a Nazi and a racist, etc., but like they stated, that was 5 years. We have 5, 6, 7, 8 years of proof of Trump not being the things they claim. The media understands you can't keep pushing these narratives anymore. He's won, and we're winning the middle ground. It won't just be them. I said it when I seen the CNN town hall that CNN would be submitting and waving their white flag as well. And all of MSNBC, from what I'm seeing, and all of their their audience, it seems like they're pretty pissed about this announcement that they flew into Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. I'm excited because it lets us know that the media doesn't have a strong grip that it used to. They did whatever they could to divide us. And they even admit that we were divided, thankfully, to their propaganda. But darkness can't last forever. And that ray of light is finally showing. Expect to see more submissions. Expect to see more apologies. Expect to see more middle ground from losers that have lost. Because they couldn't push us off the ground, push us on the ground, push us off a cliff, they are now claiming that they are seeking the middle ground. That's how you know you've won. He's won the culture. The white flags are being waved, and many, many more to come. I thought it was going to be in CNN first, I'll be honest. I thought CNN was going to be the first white flag because, like I said, he walked the dog with them on town hall and every time he appeared. But I tell you what, before Christmas, CNN will be submitting too. But let's go ahead and see what Jen had to say.
Right now, going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. You know, maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
Look, reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports. And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness.
Sorry for the pause. I'll just be so confused with the BS that they push. So, yeah, the left is spiraling out. They admit that they've lost the culture, they've lost the community, they've lost their grip on America because they wanted us to get too radical. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. You cannot radicalize the independents. As soon as any party attempts to radicalize the independents, they're going to lose mass majority of the nation. And that's what we've seen from the left. They first wanted everyone to be like them. Then they wanted a radicalization of anyone that identified as them. And you got independent voters that say enough is enough. So the white flags have been thrown. The propaganda is being destroyed. Patriots are back up. What a time to be alive. We are so back, I'm thinking. Please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, click the notification bell to stay updated.